Guys, listen to this note breakdown. You have baked pear, pear pulp, applesauce, rum absolute, French coffee, cinnamon, whipped cream, cane sugar, caramel. This is not some fantastical fragrance. This is absolutely real. It's the newest collaboration with AI the Great Aisha. I'm going to drop her channel information down below. A collaboration with master perfumer Bertrand Duchaufour, one of my favorites in the world. This one is called Amorous Intense. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this brand new release by Navitus Parfums, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I give you my thoughts on the brand new release by AI the Great, she has Ambrosia Imperial, which I've also covered on my channel. This is a collaboration with Navitus Parfums, of course, and this fragrance is superb. I mean, it has some of my favorite ingredients in here: the coffee, the almond, the vanilla, the caramel, so on and so forth. And I've also worked with Bertrand Duchaufour in the past, and I can tell you this guy is a genius. Before I start today's review, I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it, hit the bell, and give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. It would really mean so much to me. So once again, it's called Amorous Intense, a collaboration with Aisha. She has a channel here called AI the Great. I'm going to drop all of her information down below. This stuff is so different from anything that I've ever tried in the past. This is really a unique olfactive experience, and this is so different from Ambrosia Imperial. The main unifying factor, the motif if you will, is the fact that they're both fruity, but they're fruity in totally different ways. If you've tried Ambrosia Imperial, you know that it's a banana forward or a banana dominant fragrance. Here we're still dealing with the fruits, but we're dealing with apple and pear. Of course you have a touch of spice, of course you have some florals, of course you have some booze, you have some sweets. This is a delectable gourmand fragrance, unlike any other that I have in my collection. I'm really excited to give you my thoughts on the smell. In just a moment, let's start things off with a not so quick look at the elaborate presentation. So once this fragrance opens up, the easiest way that I can describe it is it smells like a green Jolly Rancher. If you've ever had those green apple, I think it's apple, the green Jolly Rancher candies, that's what this smells like in the opening. Of course, there's a certain complexity to it. There's a certain non-linearity to it as well. So it does evolve. It has this sort of metamorphosis that it undergoes the longer it's on skin and the longer you play around with it. But it opens up with this saccharine quality that is so juicy. It's so good. It's so flavorful. And of course, you do get the baked pear. You do get the pear pulp. I don't get the warmth right away, but that's okay, right? So it's kind of like, not literally, but it's a metaphorical shock to the senses. You spray it on and you're like, whoa, okay, there's sugar here, right? So you get that sugared pear accord in the opening that is just phenomenal. Pear is the star player here, pear and apple, right? So you have that duality happening in the opening, and as far as the opening is concerned, the only other ingredient in here is almond. And as you smell it, you do get a touch of almond, but it's more of like a secondary or tertiary player here. It's more about the pear and the apple. The real evolution starts to kick in 25-30 minutes after you spray this one on skin. That's when you start to make your way into the heart of the fragrance. And here's where we have rum absolute. So you do get some spices on account of that boozy accord, because spices are used in the fermentation of certain alcoholic spirits. So, you know, it is going to smell a bit spicy. Ylang-ylang and French coffee. Thankfully for me, I get more coffee than ylang-ylang. I'm not a huge fan of these yellow floral ingredients, ylang-ylang, freesia, narcissus, so on and so forth. I'm not a fan of heady florals. I like white florals. I like rose. I like a lot of floral ingredients. Heliotrope is one of my favorites, but I'm not a big fan of ylang-ylang. It does give fragrances kind of a tropical vibe. I don't mind smelling it on other people. In this fragrance, I do get the coffee, but it's so muted. It's mild. It says, look, it's not my show. I'm a supporting actor or actress. I'm gonna let the other ingredients do their thing. And I really admire that about this fragrance. Now, there is a bridge that connects the top to the base, and it's primarily done on account of that spun sugar accord. And I know Bertrand Duchaufour has worked on several gourmands, not just for myself and for Navitus Parfums in general, but for a lot of other brands too. And certainly I own a lot of his fragrances, whether it be a fragrance for Parfum MDCI or Comme des Garçons or Amouage and, or Fong Dang. Bertrand has done so many fragrances, and I had the pleasure of meeting him, thankfully, in Paris, France, so I was able to cross that off my bucket list. I had lunch with the guy, and he's amazing. He's really down to earth. He knows his stuff. Cinnamon, caramel, whipped cream, cane sugar. What about that doesn't sound amazing? Every single ingredient in the dry down is like, wait, this thing is real? This thing exists? So you do get that cotton candy spun sugar vibe. Thank goodness it smells nothing like Baccarat Rouge. Because whenever I think of caramel, when I think of cane sugar, especially if you hear cotton candy in fragrances, a lot of people are inclined to think of Baccarat Rouge. There's none of that happening in here. This is not fresh. This is not an aquatic. This is not a salty fragrance. This is not bright and upbeat. There is a brightness to it, but this is a sweet, beautiful gourmand. And if you didn't learn that already from Ambrosia Imperial, I think you're going to learn it now. I think Aisha loves her sweet fragrances, and this is evidence to that. The cinnamon, not so much. Caramel, yes. Cane sugar, yes. I think cinnamon and whipped cream are taking more of a backseat in this fragrance. Look, if you like the smell of those green Jolly Rancher candies, but you want that with complexity, you want that with caramel, with the sort of whipped cream accord, with a touch of coffee, with a bit of baked pear, some booze, a touch of spice. The complexity in this is truly, truly wonderful, but I must advise you to spend more than 15-20 minutes, right? You can't judge this based off of first impression. You really need to be methodical with it. You need to be practical and pragmatic. You need to be patient. You need to spend hours with it. And I've had this bottle in my collection for a couple weeks now, so Aisha, I do apologize for being a little late to the party. I know a lot of other people have already provided their insight on this fragrance and a lot of wonderful reviews out there as well. And I just want to say congratulations. I'm very proud of you. I've always believed in you, and if people weren't convinced after Ambrosia Imperial, they're surely going to be convinced after Amorous Intense. I'm really, really proud of you. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. Now, first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, this fragrance is one of the most unique fragrances I've ever smelled in my life. There are a lot of other fragrances that have that sweet, sugary, candy vibe, but it's done on account of a few ingredients. One of them is called manzanate. Some of them give a very bright sugary apple vibe. Some of them give a sugary pineapple vibe as well. This one with the pear, it's just done so differently. Overall smell, this one is addictive, right? This one I think is going to conjure up a lot of nostalgia for people. And that used to be me. In middle school and elementary school and even high school, you would get candy from the bodega at lunchtime, and yeah, it brings back a lot of memories for me too, believe you me. Longevity, 12 plus hours. It's extrait de parfum, as are, I should say, all Navitus Parfums fragrances. The projection on this one was fantastic for the first hour and a half of application. It radiated well beyond an arm's length. It became an arm's length scent right around hour 4, an elbow's length scent right around hour 8, a skin scent right around hour 11 or 12. In terms of the versatility, completely unisex. You can wear this one dressed up or dressed down. I say dressed up because it's so different, it's unique, it's original, it's complex. Dressed down because of the sweetness and that candy vibe that it gives across. So it has a certain tone of innocence to it as well that I really appreciate. And like I said, this one is great for the colder weather. I think on account of the sweetness, it might be cloying for some people in the hotter weather. So I would probably just say not the summer. But I do think this one is probably one of the more versatile fragrances in the Navitus Parfums catalog. And in terms of the presentation, I think one of the most elaborate presentations I've ever seen for sure, and I'm sure you've ever seen as well. My final verdict on this fragrance is, if you want something fruity, sugary, sweet, long-lasting, unforgettable, highly memorable, and incredibly versatile, I might have repeated that, make sure to check out Amorous Intense by Navitus Parfums, a collaboration with Aisha from the channel AI the Great. I'm going to drop all of her information down below, so definitely go ahead and subscribe to her channel, show her some love. Guys, and girls. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this review and I hope you took something of value from today's episode. If you did, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it, hit the bell, and give this video a thumbs up. And once again, there is going to be another Navitus Parfums fragrance coming out in the very, very, very near future. All you have to do to stay tuned for it is to subscribe to the mailing list. All of that information is going to be down below as well. And I'm very excited to share that with you very shortly. Thanks again for watching. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow with a new episode. Bye.